Okay, I'm back on the Dear Nigerian Parent series. I hope this is bright enough. Okay, let me pin. Hey, big brother! This is so amazing. About this time yesterday, I got on live, and then two Monachim joined me, and then one of my cousins, my maternal cousins, joined me. My mom's my cousin, my mom's sister's son, and here you are, big brother. It's like this is just the right time. This is just about to start. It's a series. I have 10 running for February. Dear Nigerian Parents. Let me pin a comment. Dear Nigerian Parents. What inspires it, or what inspired it? There are lots of things that Nigerian parents are doing that are shooting us on the foot in the way we raise children. Hey, Michael, welcome. And it's just making it impossible. It's just making it difficult and sometimes impossible for us to raise wholesome children who are balanced, because there's so many things we're doing that just counterbalances the great efforts we're making, and most of us just say, it was done to me to look how I turned out. Meanwhile, how did we turn out? So that's what inspired this series. So today is the 4th episode. There are 10 episodes for February. This is the 5th episode. Yesterday was the 4th. Today is the 5th. And today's topic, let me see. Who else is going to join me? Let's see. Who else is online? I've pinned the comments. Okay. Today is going to be quite straight to the point, Nothing plenty, but it's still something that Nigerian parents need to stop. Dear Nigerian parents, where are you joining me from? Where are you watching from? Where are you listening from? Are you in Nigeria? Are you outside Nigeria? What I find is that oftentimes when Nigerians are parenting outside, because of the kinds of laws that pertain in some of the places where they parenting is a bit just slightly better. Not because they get better, but because they are compelled, right, to do things the way it is done there. And sometimes it doesn't really get better per se, because they are shut. There's like their real parenting pattern and parenting style is shut down, and the slightest opportunity they get, everything is different. Okay, so today I don't want to go through the previous topics to see the topics we've treated over the last 4 episodes. Just check on my timeline and you're going to see different things that Nigerian parents need to stop doing. So today, what we're focusing on is this. Before I get into it, let me tell a story. I love to tell stories. So when I was 16, it was when I turned 16 that I effected something that I warned parents about yesterday. I warned parents to stop. I've encouraged Nigerian parents to stop ignoring the mental and emotional health of their children. Every Nigerian child feels the same kinds of emotions that children all over the world feel. They feel the same way, right? And all the spectrum of emotions that you feel as an adult: anger, frustration, dissatisfaction, pain, hurt, love, excitement. Children, your Nigerian child feels it, the entire spectrum. So why do we think it is okay to stop the Nigerian child from feeling? And one of, we make them feel guilty. We ignore what they are feeling, their intense emotions, and we make them feel guilty about it. We make them feel like they're doing something wrong, right? And so I said that one of the risks, one of the many things it causes is your child shuts down on you. Hey, Amaka. Your child shuts down on you, locks you out, lock themselves in, and when they lock themselves in, because they need the relationship and the love that you should bring to them as a parent, as a guardian, as a significant adult in their life, they try to find it elsewhere, just not with you. And so you have girls who, because they are missing the presence of their fathers, go out to get daddies. Then you condemn them for getting sugar daddies. Meanwhile, it is your sugar as their own biological daddy that is missing. So they try to get it outside. And then the boys go out, they join all sorts of gangs and groups who tell them that they matter, who listen to them, who want to hear how they are feeling, who tell them how to manage. And sometimes these people don't mean well, or they might. So today's topic is based on a bit of the story I want to tell, to talk about what Nigerian parents need to stop doing. The 5th episode has to do with this kind of story. Yesterday I also said I had the problem of locking myself in at 16 and locking my parents out, because there was that constant need for me to handle my emotions that were all over the place, and I felt as if I was alone and all. So when I was 16, we had relocated from the east to the west. I grew up in Enugu, eastern part of Nigeria, in Enugu State. I was born there. But by the time I was 16, we had relocated to Lagos. My father had been in Lagos for a long time, for a while, and we had myself and my 2 older brothers had finished secondary school, and it was okay to move all of us. My younger brother was just getting into secondary school, so it was okay for us to move. We didn't have to leave anybody behind. And so when I moved, we lived in an estate that was we didn't immediately live in an estate. We lived close to my place of worship, which was a large settlement on Grail land. And it's much a settlement that a lot of people lived there who also worshipped there. So it was like a sizable community. And I started to work because I spent about 4 years at home after secondary school before I was able to get admission into the university. And so I started to work. I worked in a publishing firm, on the publishing office in my place of worship. I was a bookkeeper. I was a stockkeeper. I did accounts and I made sales. I was a sales hand. There were lots of things I did in that space, right? And I worked. So it meant I worked Monday through Saturday every week, and sometimes Monday to Sunday every week. And hey, Sonia, welcome. And so I had this experience that made me shut my parents out and shut myself in. There was this lady, let me call her girl, a teenager in her late teens. I was 16, 17. She was in her late teens, maybe 20, 19, 20. I'm not quite sure anymore. And let's call her Julie. Everybody loved her. She had a great, persona. She had a lovely voice. She had a lovely persona. She was that ideal young lady. She sang so well. She joined in the work in the place of worship. She would greet and she would genuflect. This thing that you would experience in Yoruba land where people are, dobalain, or that kind of thing, genuflecting to greet you and bending. She would do all that, and then she, But remember, this was what parents saw. We, the children that were growing up with her, knew a lot of aspects about her that parents didn't know about. For instance, she say, let's say a mom or a dad is approaching and they come say, oh, hello ma, good evening, how are you, Julie? I'm so fine. Oh, fine. How's your mom? She's very well. And your father? Oh, very well, ma'am. And then as soon as you pass, you go like, she'll roll her eyes. You, the parent who has been greeted so sweetly and, so nicely and so warmly, wouldn't be there to see that she's rolling her eyes like, oh, please, I always have to do this. We, the children, the teenagers who grew up with her alongside this lady, witnessed this. So while what the parents did was they always used that as an example. Don't you see Julie? Don't you see Julie? You should be like her. She's always there when they call out the youth to join when there's need for volunteering. Hello, Warren Jude. Hi, welcome. So when there's need for volunteering, she's always there. She volunteers, she joins. Why don't you be like Julie? They're saying that to the girls, they're saying that to the boys. Do you see that girl? She's such a lovely girl. This is the kind of child, kind of good evening. There's a kind of she was always a standard. Then I started working there in my place of worship. I worked Monday, sometimes 7 days a week. Just that I worked half days on Saturdays and Sundays. Sometimes I worked just 7 days, right? Sometimes I worked just 6 days, right? So, spending all my life there, I experienced a situation where for every time remember, my father and me were the best buddies. My father was my best friend until I turned 16 or maybe 17, right? I would tell him everything. If I started feeling tanana in my heart, I would tell my dad, like, if someone annoyed me, I would tell my dad. Like in yesterday's episode, I told how when I was accused of lesbianism in the secondary school, and it hurts me so much. When I got home, I told my dad about it, and I cursed the person who started the stories. And I cursed the person to my dad's ear. My dad said, no, stop it. You don't know. And, that was how close my dad and I. He explained why he didn't want me to curse. But did I listen? No, I didn't. Because I was so pained. I was so traumatized, right? And so my dad and I were best buddies. So I would tell her every experience I would have, And what I started to experience with my dad at that point was my dad always, because he wanted me to do everything right. My father would say, why did you do so? Why didn't you? You should have. You're supposed to. That happened every single time. So every time I told my father, I shared an experience with my father, I was always blamed for something that didn't go right. I was always told how I should have done it better. My father was working with the resources he had. He wanted me to be a perfect daughter. I'm an only girl in my family. He wanted me to be the perfect daughter who did everything right. That was what he understood at the time. Another thing I started experiencing was my father pointing at this lady who we choose to call Julie in my place of worship, whom everybody, quote unquote, loved, every parent loved. My father started comparing me to her, and she would say, can't you see her? Don't you see how she dresses? Don't you see how she carries herself? Don't you see how she puts herself together when she's talking to... I'm an only girl with 3 brothers who grew up among a lot of male cousins, by the way. So don't you see how Julie puts herself together? How she's such a lady? How she crosses her leg? Don't you see? While my father was doing this, I, by virtue of the fact that I worked 7 days a week, and other times 6 days a week. In this settlement, a lot of parents knew me. Unbeknownst to my father, to my parents, I was another standard that parents use, that they loved me. I've always spoken this well, always been this articulate, always been this collected, you know. But my father always looked out to this Julie, asking me who other parents were admiring and wishing I was their daughter. My own father was asking me to look at Julie and to be like Julie. Unfortunately for him, and fortunately for me, I was growing up alongside Julie, so I knew all her naughty, dirty secrets, all the things, you know. And so I be like her. I would greet people and pretend to be nice to you. Then when you pass, I would roll my eyes, and then I would speak ill of you behind your back. I don't want to be like her. I don't want to be a pretender. I want to be myself. So the only thing I felt she was better than me in was she had such a great voice. It was so angelic. I remember going to her one time and I said, how do you sound so amazing? I'd like to sound like you. And she rolled her eyes, gave me a big, maybe it was the way I felt. I don't know whether she now gave me a hiss, but I know she rolled her eyes, and whatever else she did, she walked away. That thing pained me, like, what is wrong with her? Because she sings so well, can people not even admire her? And my father was asking me to be like her. I was like, heavens no, Dad, I don't want to be like her. But I never said this to my dad. I mean, your father is talking to you. You can't be challenging your dad. And so it went on and on and on and on. And it got to a point when my father was asking me a particular day, that he was asking me, he was trying to condemn or criticize something that I did. And he mentioned this lady again. And I flipped. My mother was in the kitchen cooking. My father and I were talking in the dining room, close just by the kitchen. And my father, Julie, and I flipped. I said, Dad, no, I don't want to be like her. What do you even know about her? She's a pretender. She's this, she's that, she's this. And for your information, she's pregnant. Oh, my father was like, what? I said, yes. So do you want me to go and get pregnant and bring a bastard here? I was so angry. My father stopped short. That day was the last time that my father compared me with anybody or asked me to be like anybody. Hold this story. This same me, in that era, I was in my teenage age, 16, 17, 18. Remember, I was a favorite for a lot of parents. Just that my parents didn't know at that time because of the exposure that I had. I had a girl who I'm probably about 6 years, maybe 7 years older than she is. And she loved me so much. We were such friends. She was also an only girl with, I think, 2 or 3 brothers. Let's call her Ada. So Ada loved me so much, and the love was mutual. And Ada's dad doted on me. But Ada's dad did something wrong. By the time Ada turned 11, maybe 12, 13, she would not speak to me. She was so angry at me for a reason that her father didn't understand, but I understood it. She wouldn't say anything. She wouldn't have anything, absolutely anything to do with me. Why? Because for every time she could breathe, and her father would say, why are you breathing like a fatherless child? Don't you see how Omelogo breathes? Don't you see how she breathes like a princess? And she said this, her father, I beg your pardon, said this so much to her, so many times. How did I get to know? Because he will still tell me, Omelogo, I always tell her that doesn't she see you, that she should be like you, that she should. I said, Uncle, stop doing that. You're going to make her resent me. Because my father did that too, and there are people I resent because of that. Stop it. By the time the father listened, or maybe he didn't listen, it got too late. From then, when I was in my late teen ages, till now that I'm in my 40s, Ada would not talk to me. Up till now, she doesn't talk to me. She sees me, she passes. She doesn't want to have anything to do with me. And so that brings us to the topic for today. Dear Nigerian parents, stop comparing your children with others. Stop it. Don't compare two of your children, like you have a son and a daughter, or you have 3 girls and 1 boy, or 1 girl, 2 boys and 2 girls, whatever the equation. Do not compare one child with the other or to the other. And do not compare your children with other people out there. Why? Because you do not know the BS about those people. You see them from the surface, from the exterior. You do not know all the rot that is in those people that you think are standard. Dear Nigerian parent, stop it. And I will tell you why. Let's use me for an instance. Me, with these 2 stories I told you from my teenage age, right? I started legitly to resent that lady. Like, they don't even know half of what you are, the nonsense person that you are, that you pretend so much, that you're just empty. They don't even know. And they're asking their children to be like, my father is asking me to be like, no, I didn't want to hear anything about her. But mine was even justified. But look at me. This was me trying to be responsible, to be a good girl, to do all that. And another parent known to me was comparing his own daughter to me, pointing to me all the time, asking his daughter to be like me. And she developed such resentment for me. The reason you should stop doing that is this is one of it. You create resentment in your child that you are trying to compare to others. They will resent those people that you're trying to compare them with. They would, on the low, resent you for not seeing the qualities in them that makes them unique. Those things about them that make them better in many ways that are unique to them than these persons you're comparing them with. So they could build resentment on 2 sides. And when there is that resentment, sometimes there is no room for proper learning or for healthy growth. Stop it. If they are not resenting people out there that you're comparing them to, and not having underlying resentment for you for being so blind, if you're comparing one child in your home to the other, do you know what you're encouraging? Sibling rivalry. They start to compete unhealthily. There's that rivalry. They feel like you prefer this person to them, like seriously, mommy, and so they would intentionally begin to try to set this person up to make you see how bad they can be too, or even if they weren't bad, to make you believe that they are, just so you can understand that they are not as good as you think they are. So a child who is actually a very good child in your home, by your standard, on a lot of counts, will begin to be set up by his or her own siblings just to prove a point. to you, the parent. Stop it. Rivalry soon turns into envy. Envy soon turns into hate in your home because you're comparing one child with the other. Stop it. Every human being has their uniqueness. It's the reason why we form teams to execute jobs and projects. There is division of labor. The person who would till the ground is different from the person who will water, different from the person who will plant the seed, who would weed the farm, who would nurture the plants, who would harvest. People are trained to do different things. That way, talents are different. The talents that each of your child comes with is different. They are different. So you cannot expect somebody who comes with a talent or that tapers to creativity, to be intense creativity, to compare that child with one that is all for book academics. Who's the bookworm? Say, hey, can't you see your brother? He's always reading. Can't you go and study like a... Meanwhile, this person is great with crafts, creating things. Both of them, in the end, they're going to toil their ways and make... It should be his money you want them to make and be comfortable in life. Each one would have a different way that they would achieve this. So no, you can't be comparing them and expecting one to abandon their own talents and become like the other. Don't do that. If there are aspects in your child that you want another child that is yours to pick up, say, have you thought of doing this way? It would be nice if you can do, because I think that this other person does. I don't know how it's easy, but look, go and be, don't you see how? No, have it as a conversation. Draw their attention to this, that it would be nice if they tried this and if they could do such a thing. But don't make it about the other person. Make it about the attitude, the effort. Draw their attention to an attitude, to an effort, not to a person. So we have sibling rivalry, we have resentment, we have the rivalry that turns into envy, unhealthy competition, jealousy, hatred, which could either happen in your home or be directed at someone outside your home. You don't want that to happen. Another thing you do is you put your child under undue pressure. They are stressed, they are pressurized because they are constantly trying to measure up, to impress you, to get to that level where you can begin to regard them as someone. That is not healthy for your child. This pressure and stress grows into anxiety because they have this constant need to perform, to outdo themselves, just to please you. It grows into anxiety, and this anxiety could taper into depression. These are mental and emotional health issues that you need to protect your child from. Don't compare them to persons. Point at an attitude that your child is exhibiting that isn't healthy for them, isn't complementary, isn't progressive. Point out that attitude and tell them ways that they can make it better. Help them to make it better. Draw their attention to it constantly until they can change. But don't compare them to the other person. Besides putting them under that lot of pressure and stress that could cause anxiety, you make them develop a sense of insecurity and low self-esteem, like they're not good enough, especially when you compare them to people outside. They feel like they're never good enough. Nothing they can do will make them as good as that person. They're not good enough. So even if they knew that this other person out there have some unpalatable, unattractive, and inappropriate attitude, they would believe, because you've sunk it into their heads so much, they would believe that as bad as this person, this person is still better than me. You don't want to by yourself give your child a low self-esteem and a sense of insecurity. You don't want to do that. Stop comparing your child with other people. Don't compare one child to the other or with the other in your home. These things tamper with their sense of self, and they begin to doubt themselves. Along the line, one other thing it will cause is this: they begin to lose interest in things. So because they find that nothing they do is ever good enough for you, so what's the point? Because anyhow I do it, she's never going to, or he's never going to be impressed, so why bother? So they don't bother. You're going to make them lose self-interest. Now, when they lose self-interest, it could also taper into indifference. Talk. If I do it, he or she will talk. If I do it, mommy will talk. If I don't do it, mommy will talk. So waiting. I beg, anyhow, Jerry, maybe just they go. And this indifference will begin to manifest in other aspects of their lives. And so, just because of a certain thing that they're doing and you're comparing them with someone, and it becomes so intense and so aggravated, and they begin to lose interest in doing things, and it starts to manifest across board. And you see a child who really doesn't care what they do, how they do it, when they do it, because whatever I do, my Nigerian parent, my dear Nigerian parent is going to stop. So, dear Nigerian parents, stop comparing your children. Don't compare children in your home you've given birth to. Don't compare your children. Particularly don't compare your children with other children out there, because you do not know half of the rot that those other children. Guess what? I am raising an amazing young man. I have an 11-year-old, an amazing young man. But guess what? Raising him is not a walk. It's not a walk in the park. There are so many things he does that drives me gaga. In the home, he has some habits and some characteristics that I'm still working on up till date. But this boy goes out there and he's a constant standard. It's a man, if it comes so is this, if it comes so is that, if it comes so is this. So imagine that he has friends who are close to the family, who always, come around, and they know all his traits and habits that are not nice. But these people's parents don't live with us. They probably don't do sleepovers and all, so they really don't know, right? And they are going to start comparing their children to Ifekamso. Don't you see Ifekamso? He's always, don't see how well spoken he is, how gentlemanly. Don't you see how thoughtful? Don't you see how, those ones? Do you know that Ifekamso will tell lies at home? Intense lies, for instance, that will not drive somebody mad. Do you know? But you're asking your child, they're asking their child to be like Ifekamso. But Ifekamso is trying to drop this habit of probably lying over simple things. That's not a good trait. His friends know. His friends would know that Ifekamso can lie. Ifekamso can lie. You're asking those friends to be like Ifekamso. You're going to make them resent Ifekamso. And now let me tell you one thing else that this would cause. When you compare children in spaces, within or outside spaces, you encourage bullying. Now, those ones whom you're always asking to be like, for instance, in a school where a child is always a standard and you're asking the rest of the class, if I can't so stand up, clap for him. They clap for him, say, you people should. They will gang up against that child and bully the child. So you as an adult, whether you're a teacher, whether you work in spaces where there are children, stop it. Don't do it. You're going to instigate bullying. In your home, one of the first things you cause by comparing your children or comparing your child with other children out there is you cause a strain in the relationship you share with your children. The parent-child relationship and bond sometimes gets strained or completely severed because you're always putting them on edge. You're always making them feel less than they really are. You're tampering with their esteem. You're making them be resentful. The bond is severed. Dear Nigerian parent, stop doing this. When that bond between you and your child is severed or strained, and your child perhaps shuts himself in or herself in to shut you out, a lot of things can go wrong. They start looking for validation elsewhere. The validation that they should have at home is missing. Every child wants that validation. Every child wants security. Every child wants to feel important, like they matter, like they are an important part of the unit that is a family. When you begin to make them feel like they don't have this importance in the family unit, like they are not valid, like they don't count, like they are less than what they really believe that they should be, they begin to strive to find validation out there. That way you are exposing your child to a lot of vices, a lot of people, and a lot of things could go wrong. When it comes to doing things, because you're comparing them and making them feel like they are never really good enough, it could tamper on one hand with their self-esteem and make them begin to lack motivation. And so you see a child that suddenly starts dropping in grades in school and you're wondering, what is wrong with you? What is wrong? Meanwhile, you're busy telling them they're not great. Can't you say this person? Can't you? Sometimes, don't get it wrong. Sometimes what these things would cause for this child is that heightened sense of competition and rivalry that makes them come out tops. So instead of becoming worse in terms of that attitude or that attribute that you're wanting them to get perfect in, they actually get better. But to get better on a high percentage than low, it tampers with other emotional and mental state of that child. Like competition. If it is healthy, it is not comparison with other children that creates healthy competition. Is an attention drawn to the attitude of or attribute that you're trying to work on. Let's see who gets this better. Now I think this person is doing a great job. You can do a great job too. Why don't you do it this way and that way? Because I mean, it's something which you encourage them, you power them, and so when there is that competition, it's healthy. When what you do is downright competition, comparisons, comparing them with the other child in your home or outside your home, the competition becomes unhealthy. There could be that resentment and envy and jealousy. What's even wrong with you? You too, they do. Who do you think you are? Every time you just be doing. You see, a child becomes the butt of jokes and bullying just because they are the one whom is being compared to others who are not doing as good. So while on one side you're tampering with your own child or the person you're wanting to get them to improve, you're tampering with their self-esteem, their self-worth and all that, and their self-confidence, you're exposing the other child to risk of envy and resentment and jealousy and hate. Dear Nigerian parents, stop it. We're causing a lot of unhealthy relations among our children by comparisons. We're causing a lot. Why do you think that because a child in that other family can count 1 to 1 gazillion, that your own child should be able to count it too? It's not a competition. Each child has his own capacity and their preferences. So why do you want your child to be doing exactly what the other child is doing? Why can't your child do something else that is great and unique? It is this unhealthy sense of comparison. Can't you see what is that caused our children? Well, not our children now, us, and maybe a bit younger in a generation, to start going out there to become yahoo. Because gone are those days when they will ask you questions. Instead of asking questions, where did you get this money from? This one that you're giving me, come, this car you bought for me, how did you make the money? Our parents and their parents asked those questions. We are not asking those questions now. We are telling them, can't you see Junior there? Junior that built house for his mother, does he have 2 heads? I'm here, you are here eating my food. Oloshi. Then your child goes there. That unhealthy competition, he goes there by hook or by crook. They are pressured to impress you, to measure up, to meet up. They fall into all manners of vices. Some of us are in those because of experiencing these comparisons that happened in the times that our parents raised us. Most of our children are getting into all these vices. They'll begin to cheat and lie and dupe and all manners of things just to ensure that no matter how they achieve that thing to please you, to impress you, to be validated by you, they'll do all manners. Dear Nigerian parent, stop it. Did you experience it from your parents? How did you feel about it? You want to continue it? Stop it. Let's stop it there. Let's give our children room to develop healthily. Because while you say that you have encouraged them to, add on all those great traits and all, what have you done to their inner core? What are the values that you have created in them with such pushes? What have you caused in them? Stop it. Stop comparing your children with others. Do you know what else? Look around you. So Hilda Bassi went and cooked for 100 and something hours that Guinness World Records brought down to 93 or 97 hours or something like that, 90 something hours. And other Nigerians, they had nothing else to do. They went to go and cook. Do you know how many Nigerians started cooking for Guinness World Record after Hilda Bassi? Were there no other things to do? Comparison. She can do it, I can do it too. They'll say, yes, Hilda doesn't have 2 heads. Do you know the things that Hilda Bassi went through? Do you know how many months that it took her to prepare herself for that? But we have that mentality of competition and rivalry, which has been instilled in us by intense comparisons that we experienced as children. These things are psychological and they begin to manifest. So when Hilda opened that door, what Nigerians could have done would be to find those other unique traits that they have in their own spaces and work on it and get their own world records. But no, they didn't even allow Hilda's record to breathe, to see the light of day. and Chef Dami started cooking, and Chef this one, Chef that one. There have been other Nigerians who have gone on to do the longest book reading, the longest laundry washing by hand, the longest different other things. Yes, that's better. What you're doing today by comparing your children to others is limiting their horizon, making them be stuck up in that little world of that other person, denying all the attributes, all the talents, all the capabilities that are unique to that child of yours, and selling another person's little, if you allow me, myopic world to your child. Sometimes your child that you're comparing to another child out there, or that child in your home that you're comparing to another child, could have been the greatest of them all. But you use intense, unhealthy comparison to shut the child down, to shut the child in, to tamper with their self-esteem and their self-worth, to make them lack motivation, to create a sense of resentment and disgust and lack of interest and loss of self-discipline. You disempower a child that what you're intending to do is empower the child. Dear Nigerian parents, stop it. Stop comparing your children in your home, one to the other, with the other. Stop comparing your children to children out there. Stop it. It is unhealthy. It is inappropriate. It does more harm than good. It exposes them to a lot of things: bullying, rivalry, resentment, unhealthy competition, anxiety, pressure, depression, loss of interest in life, so many things. The only thing it could achieve is make them competitive. When they become competitive, oftentimes it's unhealthy. Instead of comparing one child to the other, whether in your home or outside, draw the child's attention. Draw the child's attention to that attribute or that attitude that you want them to change. You can point out how some other person is doing that thing. It looks like they're able to. Let's see, how are they able to do this? Let's think about it. Can you do it in such a way that they create an admiration or a curiosity for that possibility that is there for this other person, this other child, and are curious to see how they achieved it? Don't make them feel guilty for things you feel that they ought to be doing that they are not doing. Draw their attention to it. Keep drawing their attention to it until they get it right or they get it better. Focus on their development. What are they doing? Remember that each child is unique. They have what makes them unique. They have what makes them different. And they are different. Their unique difference is something that you can build on. While he is strong in this, the other person is strong in that. They have their likes and dislikes. Encourage it. Find ways to turn their weakness into strength. That could be difficult if you limit your ideas to just that specific thing you're looking at. For instance, a child who is not outspoken, So you have a child who doesn't, stand up for himself or herself and speak authoritatively, and you're saying, can't you see other people when they go out there, they speak? Why don't you have a voice? Why don't you have a voice? Instead of making them feel guilty about that, find ways to develop them in their shy space. So this child that is shy like this, that doesn't like to speak, do they like to read? Do they like to write? People who don't speak or a lot of the times have a lot of things going on in their heads. Can you encourage them to become children authors, to express themselves through poetry and through storytelling? That is a way to turn something that should be seen as a weakness to a strength. So everybody doesn't have to go and stand on the podium and saying, I have a dream that one day I shall be judged not by the color of my skin, by the strength of my character. It's not everybody that can be Martin Luther King Jr. There are others who walk silently at the back, who propel and push up those who are forward. So those who walk silently at the back, they have their strengths. Find what that thing you term a weakness has a hidden strength. Find it. Yeah, that's your duty as a parent. We make a lot of mistakes as parents because we take it as a matter of course. We're not parenting intentionally by paying attention to our children, what they are doing, what's going on, what they are thinking, how they are feeling, the experiences they are having. We're not paying attention. When we pay attention, we would hear things that our children leave unsaid. We would see things that beyond the things that meet the eye. We will see beyond all the surface because we pay attention. So that's one of the things you can do. Instead of castigating or criticizing that thing you term weak, think about ways that they could become a strength for them. And then you need to understand that encouraging a child to try is a thing that you can never get tired of. Find ways to push them when they are at their lowest. Be the biggest cheerleader that your child ever has. When they feel like they have disappointed the whole world. And even if you, Nigerian parents, are among the entire world that they disappointed, can you find a way to put up a positive attitude and tell them, I believe in you. You can do this. Try again. And go find ways to help them to try. And say silent prayers for them to prop them up. When everybody is disappointed and you are disappointed and everybody is against them, chances are they nosedive. When they try and try so much to impress you, to make you happy, to be validated by you, they have a snap point. When they get to that snap point, they lose all interest. They lose all hope. They lose all enthusiasm, all motivation. They go like, what the heck? I tried. Cannot come and go and kill myself and die and throw away. You feel like that sometimes as an adult. Your children will feel like that too. They will be nice for the longest time. But once they are able, when they try so hard in their teenages to impress you, to meet up to your expectation of them, to be validated by you, once they get to that point when they are small adults, small like this, that they feel like they're old enough to do their own things, to have sex, to get married, to go to school, they're gone. They snap, they sever that little tie that they had with you that could have provided a cover for them. Comparing your children among themselves in your home, comparing your children with other children out there, encourages some of the children to leave their safe cover, which you should be. And it is not their fault, it is yours. So dear Nigerian parents, stop it. Stop doing that. Stop comparing your children. It is unhealthy. It achieves more harm than good. It exposes your children to things that ordinarily they should be protected from. If you're just joining, you probably may have to go and listen back, so I don't have to repeat all the points that I have already raised, right? Welcome, I see you all. Thank you for joining. This is a series that started this February. It's called the Dear Nigerian Parent series. It's targeted at drawing the attention of Nigerian parents. I'm specific about the Nigerianness of the parents. Drawing the attention of Nigerian parents to so many things that we as parents are doing that are shooting our parenting efforts in the foot, making a mess of the efforts we are making at parenting our children, making it difficult for our children to grow up as wholesome, mentally fortified, psychologically, emotionally balanced, and spiritually strong children. Because when these tripartite qualities or spectrums, physical, spiritual, psychological, and emotional, and mental, are not on point, it affects the other spectrums of your child's development and growth. Nigerians are unique people, great people, exceptional people. Some of the things we do in the bid to parent our children as we were parented shut down the unique abilities that Nigerians come with. So many unique abilities are shut down by the things we do in parenting. Most Nigerian parents of today have this favorite quote: "Look how it turned out." How did it turn out? Check yourself in your quiet moments. Check yourself. Check your mental state. Check your emotional stability. Check yourself psychologically. And sometimes spiritually, you're messed up. Do it by yourself. Don't get upset by the way I'm saying it. I'm so brazen about it. No. Go in your quiet closet. If you're not messed up, I'm happy for you. Bravo. Congratulations. But please don't mess up our children. The parenting of the days of our parents are different. The parenting situation, the days of our parents are different. Hey, Coach Bashir. The parenting situation and the days of our parents are totally different from the parenting situation. Hey, Design ST. They are different from the parenting situation for us now. They're different. A lot of things that our parents could get away with those days, parents can't get away with it now. A lot of things are coming at the emotional, psychological, and mental stability of our children today. The mere exposure to all manners of things, information and misinformation on the internet is enough to derail our children. And we need to look inwards and work from the bottom up. We can't afford to still be doing surface parenting. And these days, in the days that we were brought up, I want you to remember that it took a village to raise a child. The entire village was busy raising you. The entire street knew how old you were. The school you went to the class you were, your name, all your siblings' name, where your parents worked, what they did, almost how much they earned, if they bought a new car, if they brought you new clothes. Everybody in your street, from house number 1 to house number 50, 100, they knew you and your siblings by name, age, location, everything. Today, your next door neighbor does not know where you work, and you have lived in that home for 15 years. Parenting today is different and unfavorable to our children and to us. And so, you cannot, dear Nigerian parents, continue to raise your children the way you were raised yesteryear. You cannot do that. You have to change things. And this is one thing you need to take out. You can't function in today's world of parenting. Stop comparing your children with themselves in your home, or your children with other children outside. Stop it. It is so unhealthy, and it does much more harm than good. This is it for today. I said that henceforth I'm going to try to make this series as short as possible. I'm trying to go on for 45 minutes just to give the salient points so that we can do pop, and we're gone. This is the 5th episode of this series, the Dear Nigerian Parent, Stop This. We've done 5. There are 5 more to go for the month of February. And so it means that today, at this time, 5 p.m., I'm going to be on live again. I usually am live on YouTube and on Instagram. But today I'm just live on Instagram. There's a bit of mess with the electricity. I can't get the generator to power. See how I'm sweating like a Christmas gift. Can you see I'm sweating? And so I can't get the gen powered, so I can't the what's it called? The YouTube video will be dull. So I decided to just go live here. So there are 5 more to go. So today, tomorrow, the day after, for the next 5 days until the end of February, I'm going to complete 10 episodes in this series, and every other month there are going to be 5 topics. Guess what? Because there are so many things that we're doing as Nigerian parents that need to change. When we go to copy from the Oyibo, we should copy according to our culture. Yes, we should copy according to our understanding, our society, our climate. Yes, but we should also copy in such a way that it is healthy for our own children. Yesterday's topic was the asking Nigerian parents to stop ignoring the mental and emotional health of our children. We're ignoring it, and some of our children are taking drugs. Some of them are drinking sniper. Some of them are getting into some kinds of companies and all manners of things, because emotionally, mentally, they are getting more and more unstable. We are ignoring it. We are dismissing it. We are making them feel guilty for the things that they are feeling and experiencing. Meanwhile, for some of these mental states, they could be corrected. They are not just attitudes. They are things that are becoming intrinsic because of the intensity of their experiencing. This is something that we need to stop. This one today is comparisons. We should stop comparing. There are 4 more episodes. Please find them on this thread. If you're watching on YouTube, because I'm going to put this up on YouTube, go back. You see the Dear Nigerian Parents series. Look through. If you are a Nigerian parent, look through. You will find things for which you are at the center of the table. I'm doing this because a lot of things are going wrong with our children. If I help you as a Nigerian parent parent your child better, my own Nigerian child will be safer with your child. I want my child to be safe. I want our children to be safe. I want many more children to be safe. I want many more Nigerian children to have better backgrounds. Right? That's why I'm doing this. So if you are a Nigerian parent, this is for you. Watch it. Watch the other episodes. If you find yourself on some tables that I have brought out to the public, please, gently, quietly, slowly, gradually, steadily, begin to climb down from that table. Because one day, it's going to be broken and burnt to ashes. Please, start stepping back. Share this if this has been helpful. If you don't even find it helpful, you don't have children, you finished raising your children, you wish you have people who are raising children, Nigerian parents, parenting now, send this to them. They would have a lot to learn. My name is Omelogo Nadi, and I am the children nurturer. It's been wonderful talking about this, and I will see you tomorrow, dear Nigerian parent. Adios. Hey, Coach Bashi. Bye. Good to have you here. Thank you all for those who joined. I hope this has been quite helpful. For those who hailed me, thank you. Warren Jude, Sonia Marcus, Amaka, the Fixer, Designer T. Thank you so much all for joining. Apams, thank you so much for joining, and do have yourself an amazing evening. Adios. Let me go and find some air so that I can breathe. Bye. Ciao.